It's kind of hard to think that any team that's down 3-1 has momentum in these finals, but after that dominant Game 4 we saw in Dallas, that seems to be the case. Let's remind everyone exactly what went down in American Airlines Center. After all, Dallas led by as many as 48 points, Zach Lowe, the largest finals lead in the last 50 years, and they won by 38. That's the third largest margin of victory in finals history. Yeah, say it with your chest there, D. Lively. And Luka Doncic got it done on both ends. He scored 22 of his 29 points in the paint, more than the entire Celtics team through 3 quarters, and also held Boston to 2 of 9 shooting to go with 4 turnovers as the primary defender. Everyone was asking about the defense, Shanae, and don't count the Mavs out yet, right? Road teams trailing 3-1 have actually won 8 of 19 Game 5s. Let's take a listen to Luka Doncic.
Most important thing is to show that we believe. I think we showed in Game 4. If we wouldn't believe, we probably wouldn't won that game. So I think obviously the talk is easy to talk about it, but then showing it is another thing. So I think we showed it.
We would love to win tomorrow more than anything, but if it doesn't happen, it's not the end of the world. We have more opportunities.
So Jayson Tatum reiterated that to me when we sat down. He said, you know what, we're just looking at this as a very important game, but it's the most important game because it's the next game, not because we have to win this one. Is that the right mindset to have, Perk?
Hell no. It's a damn lie. They got to get Game 5.
Okay.
You're at home. The crowd is going to be behind you. The energy is going to be electric. At the end of the day, you don't want to, you can control what you can control, and that's winning at home. You don't want to prolong this series. And Jayson Tatum, he should know better, right? What happened last year to him in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Miami Heat in Game 7? Didn't he turn his ankle? What happened to Kristaps Porzingis in Game 2 this year of this series, of the NBA Finals? Didn't he hurt himself? You don't want to prolong series because you don't know what can happen in the game, in the moment. And all it takes is one tweak of an ankle, one sprained knee. All of a sudden, you lose another key piece. You drop Game 5, headed back to Game 6. Seize the moment, okay?
Yeah.
Seize the moment.
Perk, the only dilemma I have after listening to that sound with Jayson Tatum is wanting him to want it more in the moment that is right there. This is absolutely.
So you're agreeing with me.
100%.
There we go.
You know what I'm saying? This is absolutely the most important game, I would argue, of his career in some ways, because he has the opportunity to bring home banner 18. Forget MVP, forget finals MVP. You bring a championship, you are certified as a legend, this being a big part of your legacy. And that's the thing. He may not be built to say those things, but I know he wants those things, right? That's what they're pursuing. But sometimes you wish that he said that, because I feel like when it comes to his game, he has the most quiet, loud games. He had 31, 6, and 5 in Game 3, but Jaylen Brown got a lot of the credit because he closed it, right? Yep. I want him to want more, meaning not just show up with that 31, 6, and 5, but do it with an emphasis. The only thing better than winning in Game 7 in Boston is winning in Game 5, and you have the opportunity right in front of you.
Look, I don't really care what Jayson Tatum says in public. I care what he feels and what they say in private.
Right.
And maybe they just have to say these things to reassure themselves, to get themselves out of the rut. Because I'll tell you this, normally 3-0, you have a game like Game 4, I'd say just flush that game. Boston's on the verge. Dallas played for their lives. It doesn't mean anything. But that game, combined with the way Game 3 ended, where Boston got real close to freezing up and losing a game they had no business losing, if I'm Dallas, I'm saying, hey, that's 5 quarters in a row where this team has looked completely out of sorts. Maybe we have a little bit more of an opening here than the typical team that's down 3-0.
Yeah. Do any plays stand out to you specifically that has you thinking the Mavericks could extend this series?
I think they've discovered a few tweaks here and there. If we go to the tape, one on offense, one on defense in Game 4 that I think they showed. Here's so pick and roll with Luka. They're going to switch Al. Boston's doing this a lot, and one of the things they do when the roller rolls down the rim, Drew Holiday will step up and cut Luka off. Look at Maxi Kleber. He's going to curl behind Tatum and Lively. That's a scripted play. That's the Mavs saying if Drew Holiday plants himself there, you're going elsewhere. And just defensively, look, this is a slip screen by Drew Holiday. They're targeting Luka. Luka's like, I'm not switching. I'm going to go with you. And P.J. Washington plant, and he freaks Drew Holiday out and gets back in time to close out on Jaylen Brown. That's the effort That's the awareness. Like, he's making that rotation back, and then they run out of it, which was a big deal, getting an alley-oop. He's making that rotation back before Drew Holiday even passes the ball. And maybe it's on Drew Holiday to be like, I'm just going to go up strong. I'm not even going to pass the ball. But the Mavericks played with an urgency on both ends of the floor that was not there in the first 3 games.
Well, and Jayson Tatum told me, look, they wanted it more. They were the more desperate team. So they need to match that level of desperation, Perk, if they want to end this in 5.
They have to. And look, the one thing that they have to do is get a big game out of Jayson Tatum and a big game out of Al Horford. Not scoring-wise, but anchoring the defense. Because you know what the Mavs did do in Game 4? They made love to the paint. They made love to the paint. Domination and humiliation.
On our show.
That's exactly what they did. I'm saying they was living in it. And without Kristaps Porzingis being the guy to anchor that middle, right, Al Horford is going to have to elevate his game even more. Because if I'm Dallas, I'm going to continue to attack the paint. Here go the graphic. Help me out right here, Janae.
I got you. Made driving layups in Game 4. Luka and Kyrie tied for the most makes without a miss this season on Luka's side, and the most since joining the Mavs.
You don't think they're going to mimic that? You don't think they're going to mimic that?
Well,
they're definitely going to try.
Particularly with Chris and his status still only in necessary situations.
And they exploited it to a T. Guess what? The Celtics went to Texas, and they, we all went to the rodeo. They all went to the rodeo, and they got lassoed into playing Luka's game.
All right.
They got lassoed into playing. No, but think about it. Luka had his way in the paint. He was 6 for 6, what you saw on that graphic. But more importantly, he had 22 of the. They outscored in the paint the Mavs by 34 points.
Right.
That is not championship level defense. That is the fear of Kristaps Porzingis being removed. To me, the paint has been the deciding factor.
Zach, let me ask you this: going into Game 4, if I would have told you Kyrie and Luka would have went 1 for 15 from 3, did you think they would have came out of there victorious?
But
not what?
The difference is 9 different Mavs, one not being Luka, made threes.
Including Derek Lively.
Well, we showed the Kleba one, and those role player threes, they're going to have them no matter how the other guys shoot.
But the role players, we haven't seen that same level here in Dallas, or here in Boston, rather. Do you think that we could tonight?
Of course we could, because they're going to get good looks by playing with Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, and they're just going to have to knock more of them down than they did in the first 3 games of the series. And Luka and Kyrie are going to continue to go at the paint. Luka's getting more comfortable going at Derek White. Peyton Pritchard, you're on the floor. I'm taking you into the weight room. They're getting a little bit more calculated on offense.
And Malika, you said an important word. You said trust. I think the trust was not necessarily there in Games 1 and Games 2. And that's by going home, you build that trust back up.
Right.
They shot 70% on open shots. That is being at home. That is being comfortable. That is adding new schemes. Zach Lowe, as you said, you can't just stand around and hope the ball comes to you. This is elite level, NBA Finals level defense. You have to move people around, and they felt more comfortable to knock down those shots.
It wasn't just a loss, though, right? This was a butt whooping that we saw in
It was
Game
an ass
4.
kicking.
Yeah,
I'll say
it was all that. I appreciate that, Perk. Is it harder as a player to turn the page on a 2-point loss or a 38-point loss?
Well, I think as a whole, right, like when you get whooped that bad, it's no film to watch, to be honest with you. If I'm Joe Mazzulla, I'm not turning on film and showing guys film. Show film of what? Because anything that we worked on, y'all didn't apply it. The way that the Mavs came out and punched them in the face, yeah, you have little tweaks and adjustments.
Yep.
But right there, Luka, verticality. Luka, they tried to get him on the isolation, sliding those puppies. You know who else was great in this game?
Who?
2 guys. Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively. When they got a switch, those guys athletically and those wing guys, here's the key factor. I wonder if Derek Lively, and I told you this the other day, Malika, can his game travel on the road?
Yeah.
We know how special Tyson Chandler is to him, his mentor. Tyson is in Dallas, right? We see him average a double-double at home. Can that travel on the road? Can you get the better version of Derek Lively of you, the Dallas Mavericks?
Yeah, because what was it? He had 10 and 10 on 80% shooting. That's the first time we've seen that in the finals in the shot clock era. They need that lob threat for them to be successful.
Right, because take a look at this. After going for a combined 50 points on Friday, look where this stacks up in totality. Luka and Kyrie, they now have totaled